So what are we going to be talking about in our today's video? Okay, so today is going to definitely be a unique video. We are definitely going to be covering some unique subject, but this is definitely going to be a very important subject to cover, solely because there are a lot of people that are confused around this specific matter. Okay, so what are we going to be talking about in today's video? The topic is, should you invoke the Elohim? Should you invoke archangels? Okay. Should you invoke Jesus to then be able to control dark entities? Okay. So basically what I'm saying right now is, within the occult field, and within a lot of popular literature, not all, but a lot of popular and mainstream literature, coming from even a lot of occult orders, there is a lot of talk and a lot of teachings on why you should invoke archangels to then control demons, or why you should call on the Elohim before you go and invoke some sort of Qliphothic universe B dark energetic type of force. Or even some literature talks about trying to invoke God before you go to conjure up, summon, and invoke these darker forces, these darker energies. So once again, what I'm going to be covering in this video today for the topic is, should you do this? And then I'm going to go into why. Okay, so if you want to know or learn a little bit more on the subject matter, stay tuned, because this is definitely going to be your video. Okay, so let's jump right out the gate with a bomb of truth, okay? The reality is you are not supposed to, when working with dark energies, whether that's Qliphothic forces, or whether that's Universe B, Tunnels of Set types of forces, which, to people that don't know, are demons, demonic entities, dark energies and dark matter energies. They can also be called negative entities, things in this nature. You do not want to invoke angels to then control demons. You do not want to invoke creative forces to try to control destructive forces. Okay? You do not want to invoke the Elohim before invoking dark energies as well. Okay? These are things that you do not want to do. You do not want to invoke, quote unquote, God and the Holy Spirit, or the Spirit of Jesus, before invoking demonic forces, dark energies, dark matter energies, negative entities. Now the question is, why is this? Okay, I just told you what you don't want to do, but now I'm going to explain why. Well, let's start with the angelic aspect first, because these are all different types of energies. Okay, like an angelic force is different than an Elohimic force. An Elohimic force is different than the archetype of Jesus. Okay, and then you have God, which is different than all of those ones too. These are all different aspects of a similar force, but they are different. So we'll start with angels. Why would you not want to invoke angels to control demons? Mainly because they reside within two completely different aspects of the multiverse. It's completely different. It would be like trying to start a fire by pouring water on the wood first. It wouldn't, that makes no sense. You can't do that. You know, you need air, dry wood, so then you can start the fire. You can't pour water on it and then try to start the fire after. Okay? So angelic forces are associated with the creative aspects of our multiverse. They're primarily going to be associated with the Sephiroth, okay, when it comes to Kabbalah. So that is mainly going to be connected to Universe A, which is a state of being that is more so masculine in nature and more so objective in nature. You do A, B to get C. Okay, you follow these steps, you do these things to produce an outcome. Okay, so this is going to fall along the lines of angelic forces, angelic spirits, angels, things of that nature, saints, all these different types of archetypes, creative archetypes. So now when we look at demonic forces, dark energies, universe B entities, negative entities, dark matter energies, okay, demons, archdemons, you name it, these are going to be destructive forces by nature, okay? They are going to be forces that exist within the unknown completely, okay? That would be associated with universe B. This would be the subjective realm, okay? And it's more feminine in nature because the truth about feminine energy is it's directly associated with darkness. That's why in Kabbalah, the feminine pillar, the female pillar, is the black pillar. And because of that, it has its connections directly into the unconscious and the subconscious mind of the human being. And it also pulls in. Feminine attracts. It's magnetic. Okay, masculine sends out. So long story short, why would you use a creative force to try to control a destructive force like an angel? It's that, once again, these are two different types of energies and two different types of forces that exist in completely different areas of the entire multiverse. Angels are universe A, the Sephiroth, and then dark energies primarily are going to be associated with the backside of the tree, the tunnels of Set, and then the Klipothic realm, which is the tree underneath the tree. You could call it the roots. You could call it the tree of death. There's many names for it. And those are all going to be associated with different locations. Okay? So to call on a force like an angel to control a demon, you, as the human being that is doing that, is going to create a formula. If you do this, you're going to create a formula for that dark matter energy, that demonic force, to then attack you. Okay? Now, why is that? Because, and this is even documented in some of the literature by Kenneth Grant, and within the OTO, I believe I read this or I heard of this from the book The Night Side of Eden by Kenneth Grant, which talks about the tunnels of Set. If you bring universe A into universe B, then you bring evil into the real world. But if you bring universe B into universe A, then you can work with universe B properly. So a lot of people who read that wouldn't know what that means. Okay, so what that means is that if you are invoking angelic universe A forces to control universe B forces, then you are essentially establishing yourself energetically as being a universe A being, objective, masculine in nature, trying to control the operation completely, to then control a force that can't necessarily be controlled by objective operations. You can't control the demonic. You can't control dark energies objectively. You have to get into the subjective realm to control them. So, long story short, you would be bringing universe A into universe B and then set yourself up for failure because the force you're trying to control, like in a nutshell, the demonic force you're trying to control using angelic energies is going to feed off of you because you're basically presenting yourself as food. You cannot control those forces objectively. You cannot control demonic entities, dark energies, objectively. You have to become subjective in nature. You have to embrace that feminine, energetic aspect of your being completely to even begin working with these dark energies from a perspective of evolution. This is why with the occult magic that I teach and the level of self-development that I've achieved, this is why I say how important it is to be a vampire, okay, which is very feminine in nature because you are pulling in energy all the time. You are attracting energy all the time, okay, which can consume dark energies that try to harm you and turn it into your own power, which then can give you immunity to some of those dark energies and, as you increase in power, control over them as well, okay? Energies in general, they serve power, okay? Especially the darker side of evolution, the darker sides of the multiverse, they serve power, okay? This is why every single movie you've ever watched, they always try to make the word power seem evil. It's because the people that control the world are power hungry, and they don't want you to be aware that that's the key to control. It's power. But long story short, invoking angels to control demons is a very bad idea, and you will see this mentioned very often within occult literature, okay? When it comes to the Golden Dawn, the OTO, Rosicrucians, Freemasonry, Knights Templars, you will see it weaved in and riddled in within certain aspects of these literatures and tons of other literature as well in regards to the occult field and occult initiation and practice, where they will invoke some sort of angelic creative energy before they even proceed to invoke a dark force, which is bringing universe A into universe B and opening up a gateway for evil to, one, come into the real world and destroy the person who's doing it. And if you don't want to believe me, don't believe me. But I'm telling you why this is why most occultists fail. Okay? But you don't need to believe me. I encourage you, honestly, to not believe me. Challenge me. Okay? Go ahead and do your invocations of dark energies and summon angels to help you be safe while you're doing the operation. Go do that, because then you're going to be food for me. So please go ahead and do that. But if you want to take the opportunity to learn something valuable for your evolutionary journey, here's the information. You got to hear first. Universal mastery. But yeah, so long story short, this is why a lot of occultists fail, because they will follow the ritual structures of these different groups and these different orders. And if you study these books and you study these different ritual setups and their orders, they're literally, a lot of them are based around, not all of them, but a lot of them are based around invoking angelic forces or Elohimic forces or Jesus, and then God, the Judaic God, before approaching the darker side of the multiverse, the Clipothic realm, or the tunnels of Set, which is, once again, a formula to be fed to these demonic forces. Okay? So, invoking angels to control demons. We can check that off the list as something you do not want to do, unless you want to be food. So if you want to be food, then go ahead and do that. Now, let's talk about the Elohim. Okay, so do you want to invoke Elohim, okay, before invoking demons and demonic forces, dark energies? And the answer, once again, is no. Why is that primarily? Well, what exactly is the Elohim? Okay, so the Elohim you could think of as being an extraterrestrial species. Okay, the Elohim is also directly linked into the Enochian angels, which is what John Dee and Edward Kelly were working with. But the Elohim are this extraterrestrial species that work through the human race, specifically the Jewish bloodline, and try to create mass chaos on our planet by feeding people into the meat grinder of the tunnels of Set and then the Clipothic realm. If you don't know what that's like, simply you can see a great example of this concept in this machine throughout the entire Matrix series, starting from the very first Matrix movie, where Neo takes the red pill, wakes up, and realizes he's in a shell, which is the Clipothic realm, and then he tries to break out of it, and his soul fluid comes out. That's the liquid that you see in the movie. And then there's a little robot spider that comes up, flies up to try to get him back in his shell, and that would be a spider within the tunnels of Set. So this is a movie that's showing you the exact process that the average human being is being taken through astrally, psychically, and they don't even realize it, unless they're a professional occultist, one of the real Illuminati, like myself, okay, who's not working with the inverted pillars of the Kabbalistic tree and is a complete black brother, fully initiated in the backside of the Clipoth, the realm of Amalek, okay? That's why I got the tattoo a long time ago. But long story short, so to invoke the Elohim before approaching the dark matter energies is literally going to influence you and possess you first by invoking the Elohim to do things that are inverted. Once again, the Elohim you could think of as being this alien species outside of our multiverse that has technology to possess humans in our multiverse to spread chaos. So if you invoke the Elohim before approaching dark matter energies, the Elohim are going to influence you, you could say possess you, to do things that are going to lead to your failure. What would that be? What is an example of that? Working in the wrong cardinal directions, thinking that the realm of east is the realm of air, and thinking that the realm of south is the realm of, what do they think? Fire? Yeah. And then thinking the realm of west is water, when that's completely wrong. It's all inverted. Okay? East is fire, south is water, and west is air. But when you invert all these cardinal directions, which was done by the Elohim possessing occultists to document this down in all of the occult literature that you study from and that you practice from, what this does is this completely inverts the magician or the occultist, the initiate, as they're performing magic. Because the real directional system is solid and in place within the astral plane. It is real. It is solidified. There's no changing it. You can't just, with a whim, decide, okay, now west is going to become the realm of water, and now south is going to become the realm of fire. No, this is intentionally done to you. So the realm of south is the soul, and if you trick someone to think it's the realm of fire, when in reality it's the realm of water for the soul, then you have a magician who's new to the occult field, training themselves psychically and spiritually to burn their soul. Okay, and how many of you listening to this that have studied from this occult literature, coming from all these different orders, have heard of this directional system? North earth, east air, south fire, and west water. How many of you have heard that? A lot of you have, I'm sure. I think if you even look it up on Google or Safari, I think that will even pop up there. But that's not the true directional system. So taking it back to the point, this is the type of shit that the Elohim get up to. This is what they do. They invert things, and they possess you to do the inverted things so that you can destroy yourself and then get fed to them. which is this extraterrestrial species. So obviously, working with the Elohim, invoking the Elohim before diving into Universe B, occultism, or invoking and trying to use demonic forces, dark energies, negative entities, is a very bad idea, because they're going to lead you into probably selling your soul to a dark force, to a dark entity, or worse, they'll lead you to doing some sort of inverted thing that will lead to you losing your soul and getting shelled within the Qlipothic realm. So that's a big no-no. So we're going to check that off the list. We do not even work as real Black Brother occultists, the most powerful occultists on the planet, myself included. I never have worked with the Elohim in my life. Never. Ever, ever, ever. That's a formula for disaster. That is a formula for destruction on yourself. Okay? So, unless you want to destroy yourself, and once again, I really do encourage any of you listening to this right now, this is on my public YouTube channel. If any of you want to disagree with what I'm saying and you want to challenge me, I can't encourage you enough to try to experiment with what it is that I'm teaching you right now. Go ahead, do it for yourself. And then when you realize you made a big mistake, maybe then you'll course correct, or maybe then it'll be too late for you to even get yourself out of the mistake you got into. So we'll find out. But it's my duty as the source, a source vampire, someone who's directly connected to evolution and non-chaos. I don't like chaos in my life. I like peace. I like knowing I like knowing what's going on, and I like taking my time with things. I like feeling things. I don't like chaos. I don't like going in a million directions super fast, wasting energy, spewing out emotional energy. I don't like that. So, as someone who's the source and has incarnated that within themselves, it's my job to share this information with you. It's not my job for you to take it necessarily. It's my job to share it. It's your job to take it. If you do, but that's up to you. So we're going to check that off the list. No Elohim. The Elohim can die. Okay. And what's the next one? So now let's talk about Jesus. Invoking Jesus to protect you before you do any workings with dark energies, dark matter energies. Is this a good idea? Okay, the straight up answer out the gate, once again, is no. Why is this a bad idea? It's a bad idea because, as I've mentioned throughout my YouTube channel, if any of you study my YouTube channel, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you are new to my YouTube channel and you have not yet looked into this, I highly recommend you go through every one of my YouTube videos one by one, which obviously will take some time and energy and discipline to do. But if you're serious, you'll do it. But you'll eventually find there are videos on my YouTube channel that describe something that I call, and that is called, the Good Shepherd. Okay, it's the Good Shepherd ritual. Also can be known as the Wicker Man. And this is a ritual where it creates sacrifices for this extraterrestrial alien species. Okay, but now it creates sacrifices for source vampires like myself. Okay, which means all the sacrifices that were created that used to go to these extraterrestrial entities now come to me and people that are like me and have changed their energy bodies and their souls completely and have linked into the source itself. Okay. So Jesus is the archetype for the Good Shepherd, which means you become someone who acts like Jesus, does things like Jesus. You save your fellow man. You try to help and heal your fellow man. You try to refrain yourself from evil, refrain yourself away from dark awareness or dark magic or black sciences, psychic warfare, things in that nature. And once again, you're basically trying to help your fellow man all the time. You're trying to help them evolve. You're trying to help them get out of the shithole that they may have been in for a long time. And once again, you stay away from black magic. You stay away from the demonic. You stay away from psychic warfare. When someone does wrong to you, you turn your cheek and you forgive them, and then you try to love them even though they did something wrong to you. This is an example of being the good shepherd and the Jesus Christ archetype, and the outcome that you are going to get is an outcome of sacrifice, just like what happened to Jesus Christ getting nailed to the cross. So if you want that same outcome, then definitely, by all means, go and invoke Jesus before you get yourself into working with or conjuring or invoking demonic forces, like any of the entities of the tunnels of Set, any of the Ars Goetia, or any of the arch demons within the Klepothic realms. If you want to be a sacrifice for these energies, which then uplines to me, then by all means, go ahead and do that. Invoke Jesus, and you will be the good shepherd. You will get nailed to the cross, okay? But if not, then I would highly recommend you do not invoke Jesus when you are starting to get into your darker side of your spiritual initiation and evolution, okay? So we're going to check Jesus off the list. Now, what's the last thing? God, okay? What is God, okay? Should you call on God? Should you invoke God before getting into invoking dark forces? Okay? Should you invoke God before this? Well, the answer is easily no. Okay? The answer is no. And why is that? Well, what is God? Okay? I even have a YouTube video that describes the God, the truth of what people call God in our today's time. And what you call God, most likely you listening to this, unless you're somebody who follows my channel and studies from it and absorbs the information, what you call God is most likely Yaldabaoth. Okay, basically what that is it is the, you could think of it as being the ultimate archetype of the chaos on our planet that is being controlled by this Elohimic alien extraterrestrial species. So I'll say that again. Yaldabaoth is basically the ultimate archetype that is being used by this extraterrestrial species to try to create mass chaos on our planet. So Yaldabaoth is directly linked into God. Okay, so in the Christian religion, they call God a mix of a couple things. They say it's Yahweh, the Holy Spirit, and Jesus, which would be the Holy Trinity. Excuse me. And when you're talking about God, there is that Holy Trinity, as I just mentioned, Yahweh, Jesus, the Holy Spirit, and what formulates that Trinity is Yaldabaoth. Okay, it's like the ultimate upline of all the chaos on our planet. Once again, coming back to all the religions that are promoting inversions, which is almost everything, literally. I mean, it is the source of the chaos on our planet. So, with that being said, I want to briefly discuss what the real God is. Okay, so the real God is not an entity. It's not a being. It's not something you can pray to. It's not something you can call on. Matter of fact, it's the source of everything and nothing. The real God is the source, okay, which you could think of if you want to visualize what I'm talking about. It's like this really bright fluorescent light that is extremely immense and is literally everything interacting with itself, but is also nothing because it's so immense. Okay, that's what the source is. So I have the source within me, and what connects me to the source is my soul. You listening to this have the source within you, and you have the same connection between the source and your soul. So every one of us listening to this are an aspect of the source, and we're here trying to remember this. Remember, we are aspects of the source of everything and nothing simultaneously, and then walk towards the soul, which is the initiatory path of the Kabbalistic tree. And as you walk towards your soul can then possess you fully as your soul is linked to the source. And this is what happens, once again, on the initiatory journey of the occultist. And this would be called the real true self, or the real holy guardian angel. It is your soul, okay? Which is once again linked to the source. So you can't pray to God. You are God in your own right. You have that within yourself. You have the source within yourself. You can become the source in a living avatar, okay? And there can actually be multiple people that achieve this process. And the more people that become the actual source in real time, which means these people embrace everything in the multiverse, light and dark, and utilize it for one similar purpose, which is bringing evolution. Okay? This is what the source is. So when most people talk about God, they're linking their awareness into Yaldabaoth. That's why oftentimes when people say that they're praying to God, you can't pray to God. You are the source. You have the source within you. Okay? Unless you're directly praying to yourself, then that may be a different story. But the reality is there's a very strong archetype, energy field of people praying to God, which sends that energy to Yaldabaoth. That's why when most people talk about God, they say him and he. Oh yeah, God watches over me. He's amazing for that. He protects me. He, him, he, him. And the source is not once again, it's not an entity. It's not a spirit. It's not a man. It's not a woman. It's everything. It's trans being, trans-dimensional, extra-dimensional, it's everything. It is literally everything and nothing simultaneously. That's the source. It's the essence of the all and the nothingness. It's not something you can pray to because it is creating everything that is interacting with itself. So you have to come to the awareness that you are it and it is you. And that's how you step into your soul's highest potential to be an avatar of the source, utilizing every aspect of the multiverse to your evolutionary advantage. Okay? So, long story short, you have God, which is linked into Yaldabaoth. Okay? So people will invoke Yaldabaoth himself, which is very similar to invoking the Elohim before getting into the dark arts. And once again, what is that going to set you up for? It's going to set you up for failure because Yaldabaoth, God in this regard, or we could even say Yahweh and the Holy Spirit, which is the spirit of Yaldabaoth in the Elohim, that does not want to see you succeed in your evolutionary practices, because when you get to the point where I'm at, you recognize what's actually taking place on our planet, which is what I've been explaining on my YouTube channel, and then you become a very big threat to Yaldabaoth. And truly, in today's time, right now, speaking, Yaldabaoth is done for. Yaldabaoth has been overthrown. This extraterrestrial species has been taken over by real Nephilim, occultists, black brothers, vampires, source vampires like myself. Okay? The Nephilim and the Watchers were the real keys to becoming the source avatars to change the multiverse on our planet and rip it away from this extraterrestrial Elohimic Yaldabaoth-like species. But that's another story. So long story short, do you want to invoke God before getting into your occult initiatory endeavors, especially while you're embracing the darker side? The answer is no. Okay, unless you want to be possessed by chaos and influenced by Yaldabaoth, which will very likely cause you to do some other not so smart decisions while you're getting into the field, while you're trying to do your spiritual practices, and then will eventually lead to the same outcome as everybody else, most other people that are in this field, following the steps from all these different orders and other people that have told them this type of information. You'll end up shelled within the Qliphothic realm, just like Neo within the Matrix, except you won't break out of the Matrix, okay? Unless you get a vampire service from me while it's available, because it will not be available forever, okay? So people that are meant by the source to get the vampire service from me, they're getting it now. But at some point in time, I will remove it. But that's another story. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave it there. Let me end it off with, how do you want to approach the darker side of evolution and your darker initiations? How do you want to approach working with demons? How do you want to approach working with Qliphothic entities? Okay? How do you want to approach them? Well, first, you need to have certain starting conditions that are in play. Okay? You need to already know and have a certain level of impeccability, ruthlessness, and a warrior spirit to even have success when it comes to this initiatory occult field, especially when you're getting into the darker side. Okay, you need to have that foundation developed already to some degree. It doesn't have to be crazy, but to some degree that has to be developed to be successful. But primarily when you get into the field, it is way more simple than what people make it out to be. Okay, it is not hard by any means to invoke, let's say, for example, an arch-Qliphothic entity. It is not hard. They are very easy to invoke. And it's very simple. The way you do it is very simple. It has nothing to do with huge amounts of knowledge you need to have going into it. You don't need to stand in a certain direction and light a certain type of incense and say this certain type of planetary chant and then call on these angels to come down and constrain the spirit and then tell the spirit that if it doesn't listen to you, you're going to bound it. You don't have to do any of that. It is way more simple. Hold on one second. It is way more simple than that. You can literally draw it on a piece of paper, draw the sigil, draw the name of the spirit, and then get the N for the spirit, which is the chant for the spirit, or you can create your own. Okay, it's that simple. And then you can add some planetary influence to the operation. You can put the color of the planetary energy that may be associated with the spirit on the sigil. You can do what you want with it. And then you can say the N over and over and over and over in a secluded space, wherever you are. Okay, literally wherever you are. Let me get my camera to zoom back in. You can say the N in a secluded space, wherever you are, and do it over and over, and you will presence that energy over time. It may not work the first time. You may not sense it the first time, but I can almost guarantee you it will work. Okay? And then as you do this consistently, you will notice that you are able to invoke spirits. Okay, in this regards, a Qliphothic archdemonic force. You will be able to invoke it. Okay, and it may even require you to look at the sigil. You may need to stare at the sigil for some time to tune yourself into more so of a calmer state, so you're not all chaotic. And then you can go back to saying the N however many times you need. And then once again, you will notice that this force over time, if you're consistent, it will come into your real life. You will see how it changes things in your psyche and in your real life. But what you will also realize is that the changes that start to take place are going to be very uncomfortable at first. And it is going to take you will find yourself being basically taken through, we could call it an initiation. You will find yourself going through certain levels of self-development, psychically, spiritually, emotionally, and even physically to a very fast pace that once again will be uncomfortable. Most people do not know what it takes and what it really means and what it does when you get into the darker side of spiritual initiation, Universe B sides of occult initiation. It is basically a fast track to achieving your highest soul's potential and power. But once again, just because it's a fast track does not mean you are not going to go through the excruciating pain, suffering, and high levels of discipline that are necessary to gain the powers within Universe B, because that will happen. And once again, the point is that this entire process can trigger itself. The first doorway can open, the Dath doorway can open simply by just starting with invocation. Just in the most simple way that I described literally a minute ago. Okay? That's what it did for me. And it all started with me invoking Lucifer. Okay? And that led me to the clip-off. And I think Lucifer, for those of you that know, you know. For those of you that are part of the Patreon, you should know, is a very important force. Let's just put it that way. And yeah, it's that simple. You don't need all that other bullshit. Okay, when it comes to using the magic circle, when it comes to using a wand, when it comes to using crystals or an orb or rings, things of that nature, these are all things that enhance your psychic capability. And these will definitely enhance your ability to, you could say, protect yourself and also increase your psychic power when performing magic. But the reality is, they're not necessary. You can do it without those things, but you will most naturally find as you get deeper into the occult field, these things draw themselves to you. Like, when it comes to these rings that I wear, they came to me. What do I mean by that? I'm just going about my day, and then somehow money comes to me randomly, enough to purchase one of these rings. These are not cheap rings. This was a $1,000 ring right here, and this is another $1,000 ring. And my intuition says, go here, go here, go here. And next thing you know, I'm in front of a place that sells very high level quality rings. And I go in and my intuition says, buy that ring. And I buy it. And then I come across information after I buy it that tells me what it does, how it improves me, how it increases my psychic potential. And you will notice things like this will happen to you as you get into the occult field, especially even with crystals, things of that nature, tools. For example, my girlfriend, she had a coworker, obviously when she came into my life, because I am a professional occultist, that naturally pulled her into high-level initiations because she's taking on my energy body, my energy field, which is, a professional occultist, a source vampire. And once again, she started going through initiations very quickly. And obviously because she was carrying my energy body. And one of her coworkers gave her this huge crystal, a huge clear quartz crystal, which is what I always carry on me. And you will notice these things take place and these things happen when you get into the field. So when it comes, once again, wrapping it all up, when it comes to these occult orders telling you need to know this, you need to know this order, you need to know this order of angels, this order of demons, you need to know all the hierarchies, yada, 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 yada. You need to intone, you need to say this, you need to do it at this, you need to do it at this hour, you need to do it at this time, on this day. All of this shit is not necessary to get success in the occult field. Okay? The occult field is not dependent on knowledge. It's dependent on power. Obviously, knowledge can lead to power, and power can lead to knowledge. But it's way more important to have power than knowledge. So just remember that. Okay? And it's very simple. Once you learn the fundamentals of occult practices, which could simply be the art of invocation, which is literally the first video that I teach on my Patreon for a reason, then you can make huge strides within this field. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there, ladies and gentlemen. If you enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up. The thumbs up is right down there. Make sure you do it.